Mr. Nalane.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sasminya has been locked out, I think. He's just stepped out. He should be here in a minute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Siminya.
Chair, I apologize. We have Mr. Lebeya for evidence today, and after being sworn in, Ms. Ranto, I'm advised, will be leading the witness.
Thank you. Ms. Ranto, before we start, as a commission, we wish to express our condolences on the passing away of your mother. May you get the strength and may God give you the courage to go through this difficult time. And we thank you for having made yourself available, notwithstanding the difficult circumstances in which you find yourself.
Thank you, Commissioners. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Should I say Lieutenant General Lebeya or Advocate Lebeya?
Or Dr. Lebeya.
Or Dr. Lebeya?
Commissioner, I love doctor because I have been a commissioner from 2000, so it's at least the doctor from
Dr.
2012.
Okay. Dr. Lebeya, are you going to take an oath or affirmation?
I'll take an oath, Commissioner.
Yes. Do you swear that the evidence you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, raise your right hand and say, so help me God.
I swear that the evidence that I'm going to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Ms. Ranto.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning, General Lebeya.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Perhaps if you may start by informing the Commission as to the capacity in which you are testifying before the Commission today. In what capacity?
I was the component head of the organized crime at the time when I had a meeting with one of the witnesses who deposed of an affidavit or testified, as a result of which I was requested by the commissioner to come and testify. So I am a former police official.
Thank you, General. The name of the witness, perhaps for the records, the witness that caused you to appear before the Commission?
I think it's Advocate McAdam.
Thank you, General. General, you explained that your highest qualification is PhD or LLD. Is that correct?
Yes, it is LLD, Doctor of Laws.
And then the commissioners have already noted that you are also a practicing advocate. It's correct, isn't it?
It is correct. I was admitted in 2006.
Okay, with what society are you practicing?
Currently, I'm in with Johannesburg Society of Advocates.
Thank you, General. Perhaps if we may then proceed to deal with your career in the South African Police Service. When I say South African Police Service, I'm referring to the mother body, and that would also include your role during the DPCI positions that you occupied. But then maybe from the beginning, can you just tell the Commission in terms of how your career began in the SAPS?
On the 11th of May 1984, I took an oath to be working in the South African police force before it became a service. I went to the training college in 1985, and on the 4th of July, 1985, it was the last day of passing out at the college. I was crowned the best student of the course. From there, I went back to the station. I worked in uniform, in crime prevention, and then they called me to go to the detectives even before I have a driver's license. I thought maybe they should wait, but I had to accept because they needed me. I did not ask to go to the detectives. I worked in the detectives in various environments, housebreaking unit, serious cases stuff, fraud unit, commercial crime, commercial branch, different types of commercial branches, organized crime. Then I became in charge of the provincial head, specialized investigation. There is all various kind of specialized units, gold and diamond and the like. And then I became the provincial head of the detective service in Gauteng province, is the busiest one in the year 2000. And in the year 2004, the 1st of April, I was laterally appointed as the head of organized crime nationwide at head office. There I had to deal with different types of specialized units that resort under the organized crime component. And when in 2009, when the DPCI was formed, I was coming from heading the organized crime, because the organized crime was part of those that were incorporated into the DPCI. So I was appointed provisionally by the head of the DPCI to be in charge of the component head of organized crime, as well as the acting divisional commissioner, priority crime investigations. So that is in the Hawks. And then when the Hawks was finally activated, I was later appointed as the divisional commissioner, priority crime investigations, within the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation. And thereafter, I think that that division was phased out. And when it got phased out, I was then appointed as the Deputy National Commissioner of the South African Police Service until the post of Deputy National Commissioner, South African Police Service crime detection was also phased out. Then I was assigned to be in charge of a newly established directorate called the Head Research Institute, without demotion. But I think that it shall have been misinterpreted, this issue of the rank that I was holding, from which I was not demoted and placed into a position lower than where I was, but without demotion. When I accepted, it was interpreted as a refusal, and I was dismissed from the police. After dismissal, that is when I went to attend the pupillage. And when the pupillage is finalized, the court was also sitting, the labor court, which directed that I be reinstated. And I was unfortunately not reappointed in the position that was re-established. The one that was abolished was re-established when I was out, but I was not appointed in that one. So that is how I retired. Then I went practicing, and in 2018, on the 1st of June 2018, I was then appointed as the national head of the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation. And this is a contract appointment for a period of 7 years, which period is non-renewable. I completed the term on the 31st of May 2025, and that is how then I went back to practice. So the activities that I'm testifying about here today are those that happened when I was a member of the South African Police Service in the General SAPS as the head of organized crime, and thereafter as the national head of the DPCI, which is still part of the South African Police Service. Thank you, Commissioners.
Just the Dr. Lebeya, on the 1st of June 2018 in Durban, who saw you in?
The Commissioner, I took my oath before the DPCI judge, which today happened to be the Commissioner.
Yes, and upon your retirement, I was asked to say a few words about you. Would that be correct? This is in 2025.
It is correct. The two DPCI judges were present on my retirement, and indeed the Commissioner, as the previous DPCI judge, had some words to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I throw you to the vultures. I will be sitting back.
Thank you, Commissioners. I was just reminded of housekeeping in terms of the ownership of the affidavit of General Lebeya. That's the affidavit that is in front of you there, General. Just for the record, can you confirm that the contents of that affidavit are actually what is in your personal knowledge?
I confirm that the affidavit presented here is mine, and the signatures that appear on the various pages are mine.
Thank you, General. There's a very interesting event that took place during your career in the SAPS that you speak about in paragraph 7 of your affidavit, the Commissioners, that appears on page 1697, about your deployment in the then erstwhile Port Elizabeth. Would you just tell the Commissioners to what happened during that period?
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. While we were still undergoing training at Hammanskraal SAP Training Academy, we were sent to the Eastern Cape, Port Elizabeth, because there were the riots that needed to be controlled. As students, we were sent there for a month, and then we came back to the college to come and complete the course. Immediately upon completion of the course, we were posted to different stations, and mine was Hillbrow, back to Hillbrow, where I actually served the days when I was still a student. But we did not go back to our various stations. We were sent back to the Eastern Cape. This time around, it was for 3 months. It is during that 3 months when we were posted in the Eastern Cape, working around Ebai, Zwide, Kwazakele, and the like, that on the 19th of July 1985, we were transported from Port Elizabeth to Craddock because there was going to the funeral of the Craddock Four. There we were going to be guarding the house of police officials as well as councillors, because when the funeral takes place, there is almost a huge crowd that comes, and then the houses of police officials obviously were the targets. So I needed just to bring to the attention of the commissioners that during that period, I was at the Eastern Cape, and we didn't know at that stage as to who actually shall have been responsible for the death of these individuals. It is only during the TRC hearing that one came to hear that it was actually the members of the security forces that shall have carried out that. So that I just needed to be volunteering and to bring to the attention of the Commission.
Thank you, General. You also speak in paragraph 8 about your role in an investigation that involved what you refer to as an askari at the time. That was during either 1988 or 1989. Would you tell the Commission as to what happened in that case?
Thank you, Commissioners. As I have indicated that part of the units that I have worked with was the serious cases staff. I was based at Hillbrow police station. It was a very busy police station. I think it was second after John Foster Square, which is now Johannesburg Central. Part of the cases that I was dealing with included murder cases. I have investigated various murder cases. So there was also this case that I had to attend over the weekend. I think that the murder shall have been committed either on Friday or Saturday. So I attended the scene. And during my investigation at the scene, I picked up a photograph of the suspect. And I needed to go and publish that photograph of the suspect by Monday at Police File. There was a channel that was publishing Wanted Suspect, said that I'm going to do this on Police File so that the public can help find this individual. So during that weekend, when we were still on duty, a call was received at the station that no, I need not publish this photograph. They will bring the suspect to the police. So I needed to be understanding who is bringing the suspect to the police. Then I learned that no, he is attached to the security branch. So hearing that, I said that, okay, no, it is fine, let him be brought in, but I also need the firearm that was used. I have learned that there was discomfort on this, but I needed the firearm. And I also said that in addition to the firearm, I need a statement from the commander of this person to indicate as to whether what he has done is what he was assigned to do. So the suspect was brought in. I charged the suspect. He was to go to court. His name, I recall the surname. He was called Ndam, because it's a strange surname in South Africa. That is why you will always remember that surname. And then I was requested that I should discuss this matter with the public prosecutor so that they do not prosecute this individual. I said that me discussing with the prosecutor to withdraw a case when somebody else has been killed, I will not do that one. I'll rather go and show you the prosecutor, and then somebody else can go and do that discussion. It can't be me. I'm not going to ask anyone to withdraw a case of murder. Somebody else has been killed. So I needed to be bringing this to say that for a long time there were some slight cases that may be political in nature, but my duty has to be impartial in investigation. Mine is to systematically search for the truth and the table before the prosecuting authority and make a decision. And that is what I have done in that one. So that case was taken away from me, given to another colleague of mine who also didn't want that kind of case because he knew. And then it was taken away to the other colleague, which also continued with the investigation. I don't know how it ended, but that is how I dealt with that one. That is that I was prepared to do the right thing at all times. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, General. Perhaps if you can just explain an askari, what does that mean if a person was referred to as an askari?
And askari, we were made to understand that these were the people that belonged in the liberation movement. And when they were confronted by the security forces, they turned and now worked with the security. So they left the armed struggle to become sources. So that is what we understood by askari, the liberation movement members who deserted that environment and to become part of the security structures.
Thank you, General. In paragraph 9, you informed the Commission that during 2000, whilst you occupied a position of Provincial Head of Detective Service in Gauteng, you were transferred to head office to be in charge of organized crime nationally. And what I want to understand, or perhaps just for you to tell the Commission, is whether that was related to any misconduct on your part or in the execution of your duties.
Thank you, Commissioners. Indeed, in the year 2000, while I was the Provincial Head of Detective Service with the rank of Assistant Commissioner, today it is called Major General, I was laterally appointed as the head of organized crime in Pretoria at head office. That post was initially advertised. I did not apply for that post because I was holding the same position in the province, but management at national level found that they need somebody who understands organized crime. And previously, before I became the head of the detectives in Gauteng, I was the head of the specialized investigations as a director, brigadier in the current ranks. That particular position was also responsible for organized crime. And obviously in Gauteng, which is a busy province, we had more than 200 organized crime projects that we were handling. So I will chair the structures in the province that deals with organized crime. And when we go to head office, I will be the one who do the presentation to national management on organized crime projects in the province. So I think that it may be from that understanding as to how we have been dealing with these matters that top management found it necessary that they appoint me laterally at head office to be responsible for organized crime nationwide. So that is how I was appointed. There was nothing negative about me. In fact, it was positive to enhance the image of the organization to take me to national office.
Thank you, General. In paragraph 10 of your affidavit, you explained that at some point during your career in the SAPS, you reported to Lieutenant General Dramat. Is that correct?
It is correct. After the president signed the South African Police Service Amendment Act in 2009, January the 27th, it became effective on the 1st of February 2009. Then there was a need to appoint the person to be in charge of this newly established entity. And then that is when on the 1st of June 2009, Assistant Commissioner Dramat, who was in the Western Cape, was appointed as the head of the DPCI, who was at the same time Deputy National Commissioner of the South African Police Service. So during that period, the one in charge of the Hawks was, the rank was Deputy National Commissioner, who is also the head of DPCI. So he took his post on the 6th of July 2009, and thereafter, that is when he started now ensuring that the DPCI become operational. He issued provisional letters of appointment of those who were working in the organized crime and those who were working in the commercial branch. And I take that those who were working in the DSO, I believe that they shall also have been given the same letters, that you are temporarily, provisionally appointed into the DPCI until certain administrative processes are done. So that is how I was appointed provisionally by General Dramat to be in the DPCI. And then I think at a later stage, the appointment became permanent, because in terms of the provisional appointment was that it was for a particular period, that if within this particular period you have not yet been permanently appointed, the appointment will continue. So it meant that that particular letter of appointment became valid until permanent appointment. So later we were permanently appointed. As I shall have indicated, it also included the appointment as acting divisional commissioner, and thereafter appointment as a divisional commissioner by the national commissioner, because the DPCI was still a division within the SAPS. So it was by the 2008 Amendment Act, it was still a division within the SAPS. Maybe at a later stage I shall touch on the amendment of 2012. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, General. Let's proceed to deal with your involvement in the TRC cases. We go to paragraph 16 of your affidavit. Perhaps if you can just briefly inform the commission as to what role you played when you became the national head of the DPCI insofar as the TRC cases were concerned.
When I became the national head of the DPCI, part of the mandate of the DPCI included dealing with the cases emanating from the TRC. There is a specific section within the component of serious organized crime called crimes against the state that deals with this kind of cases, be it terrorism and the like, so they are all handled there. So I found that those cases are still there. And as I shall have indicated that these are old cases emanating from pre-democracy. So I needed to ensure that these cases receive attention. And the DPCI was under a serious strain of capacity personnel, limited capacity. But I needed to ensure that these cases also receive attention. So I have obviously made some means to ensure that we get more capacity, which I think in some other paragraph I'll be indicating where I have asked for additional finance so that we can recruit more personnel so that they can deal with these cases of TRC because they are old and they also need to be finalized, which I think that I will deal with that. But obviously I had to put some mechanism in place to ensure that these cases receive attention so that they can be finalized. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, General. Paragraph 17 of your affidavit, you refer to some interaction you had with attorneys representing some of the families or acting for the victims' families. Can you tell the Commission briefly as to what your interaction was about?
Yes, I think that obviously having come into the office, I have indicated that I was appointed on the 1st of June 2018. Already in June 2018, the families were raising some concerns through the attorneys that, but part of the personnel who were investigating these cases were previously in the security branch. There is discomfort with that. And then so we had to find a way so that there is cordial relationship between the DPCI and the family. Otherwise, if there is a perception of biasness on the part of one of those who is part of the investigation, they might feel uncomfortable. So we corrected that so that the cordial relationship can continue. Thank you, Commissioner.
Do you remember which attorneys were representing the victims' families? The firm of attorneys that you interacted with? The lawyers representing those families?
I'm trying to recollect. I think it's Hanif or something.
Oh, you can remember. That's okay, General. And then perhaps if you can just inform the commission as to who the officer's name or what the officer's name was, the one that the families were complaining about.
I think it was Captain Simpson.
Thank you. And then in paragraph 18, you inform the Commission about the report on the 34 TRC cases that were being investigated by the 12 members. Can you just briefly tell the commissioner how you came about that investigation?
Yeah, obviously, after receiving this letter from the attorneys and then having understood that those cases are still there on hand, I needed a report on this from the section that deals with this matter. And then that is how then they compiled the list. And then by that time, there were then 34 cases. So from the original 10 that were there, maybe 2009, these cases were 34. But I still needed to be understanding, are these the only cases related to the TRC? So it meant that the work had to start there. I had to put that team, that there must be a team that deals with these cases. I need a constant progress report so that I can monitor the development. So in terms of the hierarchy of the structure of the DPCI, you have got the national head, you have got the deputy national head, you have got the divisional commissioner, and you have got another layer, the component heads. These component heads include the component head of serious organized crime. It is under that component head of serious organized crime that you have various sections. Among these sections is the crimes against the state headed by a brigadier. It is in that space where these members, the colonel was resorting. So he had to have teams that deal with these cases.
Okay, thank you, General. In the same paragraph, there's a captain referred to there. You'll see where you're listing the officers that were involved. There's a Simpson there. Can you confirm this is the same Captain Simpson that was subsequently removed as part of the investigators?
Yes, that is the captain that was subsequently relieved of that,
Okay.
so that we can maintain that cordial relationship with the families.
Thank you, General. We go to paragraph 19. You did inform the Commission about the resource constraints, which situation led to you requesting more budget in order to enhance capacity to make sure that the TRC cases were being attended to. Can you just briefly explain to the Commission what mechanisms you put in place to procure the services of these additional resources?
Yes, working closely with the National Director of Public Prosecution, which the Deputy National Director of Public Prosecution was directly coordinating with myself, we found it necessary that there is a need to increase the capacity, because the capacity of the DPCI, I have raised that constantly in various forums, that the DPCI is operating with 50% capacity, and there is a lot of work that needs to be done. So various priorities, because all the cases that are with the DPCI are classified as national priority offenses. So which means that every case that is with the DPCI need priority attention. And there were more than 20,000 of these matters. And you have got less than 3,000 personnel. And when you divide them in the provinces, that number is tiny, because one case require more personnel. As an example, you'll find that people say that, but this VBS must be finalized. And you put 20 members to deal with that. And when the IDEC is established, ID in the NPA, they say we need personnel, can the DPCI assist? You can't refuse, because if you refuse, it will seem like you are not supportive of the government initiatives. Then you give them 15 investigators, but you know in your environment that there is a lot of cases that need attention, various cases. It's not only the TRC, you have got the July unrest, you have got the cases emanating from the Zondo Commission and others. But because we also needed to pay attention to this TRC, I requested additional budget, that I need additional budget so that I can recruit more personnel. And we identified that we need to recruit 200. So helpfully, the decision makers provided us with financial resources. So we advertised 200 posts so that we can recruit retired detectives, so that we can put them on 3-year contract to deal with these cases. We thought that in 3 years' time, the probabilities that we may have finalized these cases. So that is how we advertised the post. And after advertising the post, we had to go through the process of selection, because you can't just take anyone who applies. Some of them, the credentials will not be suitable for the kind of work. So we only managed to get 104 from those 200 posts that were advertised. And out of those, because the other environment also needed capacity, I allocated 40 investigators to specifically focus on the TRC cases. So that is how we tried to ensure that there is a priority attention given to the TRC cases. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, General. So would I be
Mrs.
correct?
Ranto, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Dr. Lebeya, so in 2021, if I understand you correctly, that's the first time that dedicated investigators were appointed for the TRC cases.
Commissioner, these are additional.
Additional.
As I shall have indicated that there were always those 12 that I mentioned previously. They were there, but 12 is limited. We needed additional.
Okay.
So
And
this was additional.
I see. Thank you for that. In paragraph 18, you gave us the names of those 12 members. Now, they were a part of the crimes against the state component. Were these 12 members dealing exclusively with the TRC matters, or were their responsibilities spread throughout the CATS subject matter?
No, they were dealing with CATS subject matters. Okay. So it was not exclusively only for TRC cases. There will be other cases.
Okay. So 2021 then is really when we had exclusive investigators for the TRC.
That's correct. That's correct, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just to confirm, what you informed the Commission was that of the 104 posts that were allocated or for investigation, 40 were given to the TRC cases. Is that correct, General?
That is correct, Commissioners.
And that would have meant majority of the posts went to the TRC cases, considering that all these 104 had to deal with various types of investigations that are involved in the DPCI.
That is correct, Commissioner. So obviously what we had in mind is that when the number of cases increases, you can always add the personnel, but you can't put more when the cases are still going to be unearthed, because they were not there. So they have got to go and determine where are the cases. So when the number increases, you can always increase. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, General. And then you stated in your affidavit that on 1st November 2022, there was an appointment of a national coordinator responsible to liaise with other government departments. The name of the coordinator, if you may inform the Commission who the national coordinator is or was.
The name of the coordinator was Colonel Nkuna, who was also appointed in terms of this 104 posts.
Thank you, General. And then you stated in paragraph 22 about letters that were addressed to various government departments, inclusive of the National Archives and Records Service of South Africa. Can you tell the Commission what the letter was about and why was it necessary to write such a letter?
Yeah, this kind of cases were old ones. It's unlike investigating an ordinary murder one where you are going to get witnesses and then you get all the necessary evidence. In this kind of investigation, you are dealing with a historical type of information. Some cases were reported in the past, some you find the information in the archives, and then it is in different departments. So you needed officials in those environment departments to be able to collaborate with us, because the members, the investigators were struggling to get this information. So I needed to communicate at higher level that you appoint a coordinator in your department so that the investigators must be assisted to get the information that is needed. So that is why I had to write these letters to the various departments so that they can cooperate and assist the investigation team.
Thank you, General. We proceed to paragraph 23 of your affidavit, where you stated that you received commendation letter from Foundation for Human Rights in response to the good progress that you were making at the time. Can you tell the Commission about that?
Thank you, Commissioners. As I've indicated, investigation work, you need collaboration with the witnesses and the families. And I think that the Foundation for Human Rights also saw that there is commitment from the DPCI to work on these matters, which I think that's why they have written this letter of appreciation, recognizing, seeing the commitments that we are putting in place, the efforts that we are putting in place. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Paragraph 25, you informed the Commission about the progress in terms of the increase in the cases that were investigated as at April 2023. Can you briefly just inform the Commission in terms of how you progressed to that number?
Yes, as I've indicated that when I asked for the first report, there were 34 cases. Now, when they continue, you can see that by April 2023, there were already 140 cases, because they need to be dealing with all of those TRC matters. So whenever they come across a case that need attention, they will always add to that list so that no case is left unattended. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Now we can deal with specific response to the Rule 3.3 notice that was served on you by the Commission. And in paragraph 26, I'm not going to ask you to read what is stated there. It's basically the contents of the notice that was served on you by the Commission. Can you confirm that indeed these were the contents of the notice that was served on you?
I confirm that this is the exact content of the affidavit.
Thank you, General. in paragraph 27 of your affidavit, you make specific reference to the paragraphs 35 and 36 of the affidavit of Advocate Raymond Christopher McAdam. That's been referred to in the Commission's notice. Is that correct?
It is correct, Commissioners.
And perhaps if you can just specifically refer the Commission to what you found as an area of interest in reference to that affidavit of Advocate McAdam. You deal with that in paragraph 27.
Thank you, Commissioners. Looking at the affidavit of the family of the victim, Mr. Kalata, I noted that in paragraph 35 and 36 of the affidavit of Advocate McAdam, he specifically stated the following. Ultimately, I met with Assistant Commissioner Lebeya on 26 November 2009, where the issue of conducting investigation was positively discussed, resulting in me writing a letter of 18 January 2010 attached hereto as annexure RCM 7. As a result thereof, Senior Superintendent Bester was appointed to oversee the investigation of 10 cases I had identified. Here, however, an adverb positively, which was used by Advocate McAdam in his affidavit, is conveniently omitted in the affidavit of Mr. Kalata. It is this word that I needed to highlight, that McAdam have said what he said, but in coming to rephrase this word to show that there was a collaboration positively was omitted. I think that it is important that it should have included. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, General. You do confirm that you had a meeting with Advocate McAdam on that specific date and be mentioned in that paragraph.
Indeed, I confirm, Commissioners, that I had a meeting with him, and that is where the 10 cases that he referred to was identified.
And is your evidence before the Commission that that meeting yielded positive results?
Yes, I do confirm that it yielded a positive result, because at that level, I had to allow that, let the operators do the work. And that is how the Colonel had to lead the investigation, Colonel Bester, to continue with the team that is having.
Thank you,
And,
General.
Ms. Ranto, so when Colonel Dr. Lebeya, when Colonel Bester was appointed, who on the ground was dealing with the investigation of these matters?
All of these cases, Commissioners, were conducted at national level. So there were members under his command, and I don't know how they had booked each case to which member. But obviously, you look at the command structure. It's you, Colonel. You have got members working with you. And then how many are they? So he will decide. It was only at national level. By that time, the crimes against the state cats, I think, was only at national level. We had to, it is only at a very late stage in the DPCI that we created some other branches in the provinces, but it was at national level. So Bester was at national level. These members that were investigating at that stage were at national level.
Okay. So they were dealing not with these TRC cases exclusively, they were dealing with all the CATS matters.
Yes, no, they were not dealing exclusively with TRC cases. They were dealing with all cases that are classified as crimes against the state.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. General, over and above your meeting with Advocate McAdam to discuss the 10 cases, you stated in paragraph 28 that you never had any other interaction with him thereafter. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioners.
And then, General, you know that you were before this commission because the allegations are made by the Kalata group that there was political interference, or there was political interference with the investigation of the TRC cases. Is that correct?
I have learned that there was political interference.
You mean alleged?
Alleged political interference, yes.
Now, if I may get from your side, have you ever received an instruction that can be construed to be of political nature, not to pursue any TRC cases during your tenure as a member of the SAPS / DPCI?
Commissioners, I took an oath on the 11th of May 1984 that I will only abide by the law, only respect the law. And I again took an oath on the 1st of June 2018 that I will abide by the law. That is an additional oath of office for the members of the DPCI. I was not going to listen to anyone to pressurize me not to do what I have taken an oath of doing. I think that the history will tell as to how I have been treated when I was straightforward with doing my work. I was not going to listen. Nobody has ever approached me not to do my work. I was not going to listen to that one.
And have you ever instructed or influenced anybody to conduct themselves in that manner?
I have never instructed anyone not to do his work, and I will not do it. I have always cautioned the members that, you see, in this organization, we come from different backgrounds. And when you took your own oath, you knew that we are coming together because we are going to do the right thing. So I'm not going to tell you not to do the right thing. I always allow the members to do the right thing, and that whenever they do the right thing, we will obviously ensure that we provide them with the resources. I will not instruct a member not to do the right thing. Even myself, whenever I was instructed, I always insist that in some of these things I need it in writing, so that in future I can show that this is what I was instructed to do. And if I give the instruction that a member is not sure as to whether this is correct or not, they can always ask it to be done in writing. That is how we do it in the police. And I think the Constitution is very much clear regarding the members in the security forces, the security structures, that you cannot take an unlawful instruction. So I will not give an unlawful instruction, and I will not take an unlawful instruction.
For the sake of completion, in paragraph 30, you inform the Commission that in performance of your functions during your employment with the SAPS / DPCI, you are always conscious of your constitutional obligations set out in section 199 subsection 6 of the Constitution. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. Indeed, as I have hinted, I have always been conscious of my constitutional duties as set out in Section 199, subsection 6 of the Constitution, which state that no member of any security service may obey a manifestly illegal order. More specifically, I have never engaged in any act of political interference aimed at stopping the investigation and/or prosecutions on the TRC cases. I think that is the constitutional expectation of the members in the security structures.
Thank you, Commissioners. Looks like today.
I just have one question, please, for clarity. You completed your term, Dr. Lebeya, as the national head of the DPCI on 31 May 2025.
It is correct, Commissioners.
And in paragraph 20, you told us that these 40 exclusive TRC investigators were appointed for 3 years, starting from 1 April 2021, ending on 31 March 2024. What happened? Were those contracts renewed?
When the term was coming to an end and the work was not finished, I needed to be doing something about it. So we looked at all of those members who were appointed in terms of the contract and said that those who are still within the allowed age to be permanent members of the SAPS, let's appoint them on a permanent basis. So I asked authority to do that, which was granted. So those who were within the age limit were appointed permanently into the SAPS, into the DPCI. Those who were of advanced age that couldn't fit in within the employment regulation and the like, we said that we are extending the contractual period. I think is another 3 years, so that at least we can't let them go before the work is completed. So that is what we did.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioners. That brings an end to Evidence in Chief of General Lebeya, and I see it's already tea time.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Ranto. I think this is an appropriate time to adjourn for tea until 11:20. Mr. Kuala, do you have any clarificatory questions to put to the witness?
Chairperson and Commissioners, no, we do not have
Thank you.
questions.
Ms. Ntambelani?
Morning, Chair. No, we don't have any questions.
Ms. Rikhotso?
Thank you, Chair. We also have no questions of clarification for this witness.
Ms. Moroka?
Just one question, Chair. Good morning, Doctor. You spoke in your affidavit, paragraph 21 of your affidavit, about, I might just get there. About other government institutions and the need to coordinate and the need to work together. And then you talk about the fact that you then established other structures that were to do that. What I wanted to know from you is, did you know or did you at any point understand that there was another structure that had been put together pre your appointment or the appointment of Mr. Dramat, the TRC working group that was responsible, which consisted of DGs and the ex-commissioner Lebeya? Did you know about that task team? Did you ever get the minutes of that task team? Was it as it were a continuation of that task team, or was your intervention a completely different structure?
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I didn't know about the existing prior team. It's only during the current commission that I read in the media that there was something else before, so I didn't know about that one. This one was just my initiative that I needed something that can assist the investigator. Thank you, Commissioners.
Sense, am I to understand that when the DPCI was formed, there was no hand, you remember there was a DSO and there was a working relationship between yourselves as subs, differently called. So there was no handover of the workings of what the NDPP office was doing, what then the DSO was doing, and then when the DPCI was constituted, what then was as a consequence of what had happened before. There was no handover of any sorts.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I happened to be the person who's coordinating the taking over of the work coming from the DSO into the DPCI. So I kept a record of all of the matters that they had. These ones were not part. So there was a list of the matters that the DSO has been handling, and we took those.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Moroka. Mr. Vani?
Chair, we do have some questions by way of clarification.
Yes.
Firstly, Dr. Lebeya, thanks for your cooperation with this commission and for coming to testify today. I should mention from the outset that from the perspective of the families, we don't regard you as a person of interest, and we don't think that you should have been issued with a Rule 3.3 notice, which is reserved for implicated persons. We do think, though, that you have very useful information to give to the Commission, so we think you should rather have been called here under Rule 7.1, but I just wish to make that clear to you. Let's then turn to paragraph 8 of your statement. You mentioned that while you were a detective sergeant at Hillbrow Serious Cases Unit, that's in the late 80s, 88, 89, that you had occasion to take forward a murder case against a certain Mr. Indam, who had used a security branch firearm to commit a murder. But you also made clear in your statement and in your evidence in chief that you were not prepared to enter into discussions about withdrawing that particular case. Do you recall who asked you to withdraw the case?
No, I wouldn't recall the names, but it was the command structure of the security branch.
And I think you mentioned you couldn't recall whether the case was actually withdrawn or not.
At that moment, it was not withdrawn because it was later handed over to another member who I understood he didn't like this case because it seems to be tainted. And then it was handed over to the other one, so it was still appearing on the court roll. So I don't know at a later stage or what was the conclusion of that. So it wasn't withdrawn in the immediate period that I was aware of. I don't know after the third investigator was given or what was the final conclusion, because it was on the court roll, which meant that if it was to be withdrawn, it shall be directed to the inquest court. And I think that the inquest court shall have wanted to know what was the cause and was anybody responsible. So I do not know what was the final outcome of that case.
Thank you. So this is an example of during the apartheid days of what could be called interference or attempted interference in the work of the criminal justice system. But you as a police officer, you took a stand. You refused to associate yourself with that kind of interference.
Yes, I was a very junior member as a sergeant in the police. In terms of the rank setting, from constable to warrant officer, we call them junior members. They also call them non-commissioned officers. From lieutenant, currently the rank no longer exists. It starts with a captain. From captain upwards, they call them commissioned officers. And these commissioned officers, they are also divided into different categories. There are junior officers, that is up to captain. So it is lieutenant, captain up to superintendent, lieutenant, colonel. There was also a rank of major. So captain up to captain was called junior officers. From major up to colonel is called senior officer. From brigadier upwards is called senior manager. But from lieutenant general upwards is called top management. So that is how they categorize. So I was very junior member as a sergeant, but I was prepared to follow the law. And there were many other members who were prepared to follow the laws. It's unfortunate that there were a few in certain units within the SAP that were obviously inclined to carry out some of the works that you can't do them openly and say, this, I'm doing this because I'm a police official. So, but indeed, I was prepared to do the work as a sworn officer who, when approaching the people, I identify myself and say, I am Sergeant Lebeya, this is what I'm doing, I'm coming to you in terms of this. And if it is a suspected person, during that time we will be warning the person in terms of the judge's rules, which have now been modified into the Constitution, Section 35. So I have been following the law, and many other members were following the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for sticking to your guns. Can we move to paragraph 9? And I see we jump from the late 1980s to 2000. Would I be correct in saying that during the 90s you were still at the Hillbrow Serious Cases Unit?
Obviously, I didn't want to elaborate much on my CV commissioners. I have worked in various environments in the SAPS. And wherever I have worked, you can always go and find evidence of what we produced. From 1989, there was in 1990, then I was elevated to become a warrant officer. And as a warrant officer, there was time for restructuring of the detective service. Then the decision was made to establish the fraud units in the country. When the fraud units were established, one was established to be in charge of 2 districts, District of Hillbrow and District of Rambek. So each district had a number of police stations, like 8 and 7. So a fraud unit was established at Santon, and I established that fraud unit at Santon. I was a mere warrant officer and to be in charge of a fraud unit in an urban setting meant that there was confidence in what I was doing. So I opened the fraud unit, have been in charge of that unit until I went to the candidate officer's course. To become a lieutenant, you had to go through, after passing your national diploma in policing, you had to go to the officer's course. And if you pass the candidate officer's course, then you were to be appointed and given commission status by the state president, so that you become a justice of peace, that you can be able to take confessions from people who want to confess and the like. So I went to the officer's course, became a lieutenant. When I came back, I was placed at John Foster Square, now Johannesburg Central, in fraud units. I was not in charge there. There was a lieutenant colonel who was in charge, a captain, the deputy, then I was the lieutenant to be the third in charge. So, but they gave me the responsibility to manage that, which I liked, because it actually gave me an opportunity to learn in a bigger station, John Foster Square, dealing with a number of police stations. But I've always wanted to be working in the commercial branch, because the commercial branch was dealing with more complicated and more serious cases, dealing with more than 60 acts of parliament, as well as the common law crimes. So I asked to be placed there in the commercial branch. So I was placed in the commercial branch, and then I was given to be responsible for Valita squad, and I think I worked with those cases, and I think that it is during that period that I identified the lacuna in the law where possession of foreign forged banknotes was not a crime. And then I requested that this thing need to be criminalized because we are finding people in possession of these, whereas in the rands it is a crime, but in foreign currency it's not. You are waiting for a person to start dealing before you can charge. So I worked in the commercial branch. You can find evidence of me working there because one of the captains stole my docket there, and I investigated which captain was given 5 years imprisonment for stealing my docket. I was later appointed as a superintendent in 1996 because when the new system dispensation came into place in 1994, I was already a captain. I hadn't been a lieutenant, now I was a captain. So I was later appointed as a superintendent, today's lieutenant colonel, in what was started as a representativity and equal opportunity program, REOP. It was later changed to be Accelerated Management Development Program. So I was appointed in that. You'll see when we arrested a senior manager from the South African Broadcasting Corporation taking 20,000, which I was responsible for doing that. I was later appointed as the provincial commander of the commercial branch in Mpumalanga. You will see a number of arrests that we have done in that province, including I personally arrested the deputy speaker of the provincial legislature in that province, which deputy speaker was found guilty and sentenced. I have dealt with a number of matters, including the driver's license scams that were taking place in Mpumalanga. And I'm the one who obviously interviewed Director Brazier to say, Director Brazier, how did you interview this person, a senior politician, to get a driver's license when you are sitting so far and then the testing ground is so far? A number of matters that I have dealt with when I was in that province. I think that there are letters of commendation from the senior managers in Mpumalanga. You speak of the acting provincial commissioner at the time, Dan Alberts. You speak of the provincial commissioner, Moses Kanyile. You'll find a commendation of the work that we produced there. That is before I come back to Gauteng to become a director for specialized investigations, diamond and gold, motor vehicle, and the like. So, and then becoming the head of the detectives, then I deal with everything of crime in the province of Gauteng. It was the busiest. And from there, I moved to head office, and I have elaborated on that one at head office. So I have worked in the various environments. Even at the time when I was the deputy national commissioner responsible for crime detection, after the retirement of General Praise, for a year, they did not appoint any deputy national commissioner for operations. So I was appointed to act in that position in addition to my position as the deputy for crime detection. So for a year, I was responsible for 2 directorates, which meant that I have got to double the effort so that both these 2 environments need not fail. So that is part of the work that I was doing. And I have represented the country in the Southern African Regional Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization, which is called SARCO. I was chairing the Permanent Coordinating Committee, which is the operational body of the SARCO. I also established such body in the SAPS, called the SAPS PCC, to ensure that all the activities in the SARCO structures are coordinated in the country. So there is a lot of activities that I've done. I have drafted guidelines on how to do certain activities, including
Mr. Van,
guidelines on dealing with...
Sorry, Doctor, we can just
Vani,
pause.
Let me warn you. Dr. Lebeya is also an author of a criminal procedure book. If you give him the canvas, he's like a professor. He'll go on and on. I think you try to guide him.
Thank you, Commissioner. I was looking for an opportune moment to intervene, but it is a very rich history indeed, Doctor.
I worked with him for 5 years.
Yes. Doctor, thanks for that very rich career history, which is interesting and also well done on spotting that lacuna in the law. Can I just ask, during that period, which I assume is through the 90s, you were not involved in any of the TRC cases?
No, during that period, I was never involved in any. I only came across them in 2009. That was the first time I come across these TRC cases.
Thank you. And so in paragraph 9, you point out that in 2000 you became provincial head of detective services at Gauteng. You moved to SAP's head office in 2004 to take charge of organized crime nationally. And I understand that in that period, through to 2009, you were also not involved in any of the TRC cases.
No, I was not involved in any because there were also restructuring. That is, during the 2004, when I was at head office, there was also a component called the serious and violent crime. So before, it was called murder and robbery unit, but later on, it became serious and violent crime unit. It is in that serious and violent crime that crimes against the state was resulting in that component. So it is only at a later stage that the component serious and violent crime unit was phased out. Then the members from the serious and violent crime were incorporated into the organized crime. I think that was closer to the establishment of the DPCI.
Thank you. So then let's come to 2009, and you set out in your paragraph 10 that in August 2009 you were provisionally appointed as the component head responsible for organized crime at the DPCI, and you also acted as a divisional commissioner.
Just there. It's good to speak of the official DPCI, but the people know the brand as the Hawks. Can you talk a bit more about the Hawks so that the people outside can also understand? Doctor, would that not help? It's your brand. There is the brand. The cars are also branded Hawks, and you hardly see DPCI.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just as a general comment.
Yes. No, I agree. It would certainly help if everybody was on the same page. Doctor, just following on what Commissioner Kuma has suggested, could you give a brief description of the DPCI, what it stands for, and its essential work?
The law itself speaks of the establishment of an entity called the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation. Abbreviation is DPCI. And at the time when it was launched, it also got a nickname. Like you have other entities that had nicknames, like the Scorpions. It's Directorate for Special Operations, but it also have got a nickname, the Scorpion. And then the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation got its also nickname, the Hawks. So if you put the Hawks and the Scorpions together, one might disappear. And so the Hawks is actually the brand name that the DPCI is known for. And others will always recite on it and say it eat snakes. So dealing with criminals, that is how the Hawks deal with. At the time of the launch, they made an error, those who were designing the symbol of the Hawks, the DPCI. They said it is the Directorate for Priority Crime. They added an S, Directorate for Priority Crime Investigations. They added an S at the end. So if you find some logos on the internet, you may find those that have got an S at the end. It's erroneous. There is no S. And it is like the South African Police Service. You will find people adding an S at the end, saying South African Police Services. You try very hard to tell the people that there is no S. But I think that the public can also get a clear indication that when you speak of the South African Police Service, it's not South African Police Services. There is no S at the end. If you want to check on this, you go and check the act, what the lawmakers said. The same apply with the Hawks. You'll find that there is no S at the
Yes.
end.
Thank you, Doctor. But would I be correct in saying that the DPCI or the Hawks could be described as the elite investigation unit within SAPS to deal with the most serious priority crimes facing South Africa?
You are correct, Commissioner. The Hawks is the elite unit in the Republic of South Africa. If it was supported and given the necessary resources, it can operate on the level of like entities in other countries. You speak of the FBI, the NCA, the BKA in other countries. That is how you can develop the Hawks to become.
Thank you, Doctor. That's very helpful. So if we can then turn to 2009, you've already mentioned that it was in that year that you became component head for organized crime within the DPCI, and that's where you first had some contact with the TRC cases. Can you just briefly describe what that initial contact with the TRC cases was?
That is when Advocate McAdam would have come to discuss about the TRC cases, which I've indicated that after hearing about that, I ensured that there is individual who is going to liaise with him and continue to deal with those cases. And I think that from that time, he indicated that he was satisfied that they started dealing with those matters, although there were few in number.
Yes. So that meeting with Advocate McAdam, that was on 26 November 2009. And we'll return to the meeting and the letter he wrote you in January 2010 a little later. So if we could then turn to paragraph 11, you indicate that on 1st February 2010 you were appointed Divisional Commissioner PC for priority crimes investigation with the DPCI at the rank of Lieutenant General. And it looks like you held that post for a year, February 2010 to February 2011. Now, during that period, were you seized with the TRC cases?
In that position, I was the divisional commissioner. And as the divisional commissioner, you are also responsible for other components. You have got the serious commercial crime, which is dealing with more complicated cases. The most complicated cases are in the serious commercial space, which is the environment where I say that they deal with more than 60 acts of parliament. So it was also part of that. I was not solely dealing with TRC cases. TRC cases will be under the component serious organized crime, and then there is a section below that component. So I deal with component heads, but the matters in their space, they have got to account to me. So that is part of the cases that I was dealing with. There were also other matters that demanded more attention, things like the crime intelligence matters. You shall have heard now and then people talking about the appointments in crime intelligence of 250 posts. I have dealt with that. It was part of that I have dealt with those matters. And I think that they cost me my career, those investigations that I have dealt with. So there were several matters. Several matters will obviously go in the DPCI, and as the head at times, you may deal with some cases that have got repercussions, not because we have done anything wrong, but because we have dealt with certain cases. So I'm just hinting that it was not only TRC matters, there were many other serious matters that we have dealt with. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Doctor. Then let's move to the next period, and so that's between paragraphs 12 and 13 of your statement. You mentioned that in February 2011 you were appointed Deputy National Commissioner responsible for Detective Services, Crime Intelligence and Forensic Services. And it looks like you were in that post through to the end of May 2014 when you were unlawfully dismissed. So again, same question, between February 2011 and May 2014, in that post were you seized with the TRC cases?
No, from the 1st of February 2011, as the Deputy National Commissioner, I was no longer seized with those matters because those matters will remain in the DPCI. So I'm no longer in the DPCI. So there are 6 deputies, and one of those deputies is the deputy responsible for DPCI. Because now the deputy, which is General Dramat, previously he was in charge of the Directorate DPCI plus the Detective Service Division, Forensic Service Division, and the Crime Intelligence were also resorting under him. Now they separated these so that he is solely responsible for DPCI. That is where the TRC cases will remain under the serious organized crime component. So I'm taking a new directorate, which is crime detection, that is responsible for 3 divisions: crime intelligence, detective service, and forensic services. So that is from the 1st of February 2011. I did not expand much because I shall have indicated that from the 1st of April 2011, that is the same year, 2 months later, I am also appointed to be overseeing the Deputy National Commissioner Operations. That is where General Praise was working.
Yes, but Dr. Lebeya, for that period, you were not seized with any TRC matters. If we can focus a bit on that part.
Yes.
That was the question asked.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, from that period, the 1st of February 2011, I was no longer involved with TRC cases. They are with the DPCI. I'm out of the DPCI.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, then let's jump to when I think you re-engaged with the TRC cases. Would I be right in saying that, and if we look at your paragraph 15, that only occurred several years later when you were appointed as national head of the DPCI in June of 2018. Am I correct in saying that that's when the TRC cases fell again under you?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Paragraph 17,
Paragraph 15.
or is it 15? Thank you.
Well, I suppose he says in 15 he was appointed national head of DPCI
Okay, thank you.
in June 2018, and then he expands on it from paragraph 16, 17 onwards.
That is correct, Commissioners.
So then let's turn to paragraph 16, and you mentioned that by the time you became national head in June of 2018, there was already some progress being made. Are you able to give the Commission a sense of what progress had been made?
Obviously, at the initial stage, there were 10 cases. When I received a letter from the lawyers that were raising concerns representing the family of the victims, we checked these cases. There were limited progress because of the capacity, and I think that it goes to the level where I say that in paragraph 18 there were 34 cases that were being handled. So there was a progress from the 10 cases that we initially had off in 2009.
Yes, and those were the 10 cases that had been identified by Advocate McAdam.
That's correct.
We don't have a list of those 10 cases. Do you perchance have a list in your records?
I do not have the list of those 10 cases, Commissioners.
Okay, thank you. We'll have to make our own inquiries. Then in paragraph 17, you deal with the approach by the attorneys for the families about the complaint of officers involved in the cases who'd been previously with the security branch. And you were asked which attorneys. Just for the record, the attorneys were Weber Winsell. You were also asked for the names. As I understand the names in question, I think you made some reference to them. Captain Simpson and a Captain Williams, and we understand they were taken off those cases. I see you also mentioned Colonel Vruchtenberg in paragraph 18. Do you have a recollection that the families also made a complaint in respect of Colonel Vruchtenberg on the grounds that he had been accused of assaulting a black police officer by the name of Richard Matasi?
I do not have a recollection of any concern raised about Vryachtenberg. Commissioners.
Yes, just for the record, in that letter, that complaint was also set out. And the problem that the families had is that Richard Matasi and his wife Irene were subsequently murdered. And for that reason, although no accusations were made against Vryachtenberg, they asked for him to be removed from the TRC cases. And our understanding is that he was ultimately removed.
Yeah, I do not have a recollection of that aspect of Vryachtenberg. Obviously, as I said, that there were layers that were reporting under myself from the colonel. There was a layer above brigadier, and there will be a major general above. So I do not have a recollection of him been removed specifically from TRC cases.
Thank you. And you say you had these individuals removed because of the need to maintain a cordial relationship with the families. Would I be right in saying that an additional reason you would have had, besides maintaining that relationship, would be that it would be inappropriate for former security branch members to be investigating their colleagues?
Not necessarily so, commissioners. You see that as a police officer, you are bound to investigate any crime. As an assistant commissioner, I have investigated cases that involve the national commissioner. He's in charge, but I'm carrying the case. It's unlike a departmental matter where only a senior can investigate a junior. But with a criminal matter, it doesn't matter. Others feel uncomfortable, but somebody else needs to investigate. If you are the national commissioner, you have committed crime, who shall investigate if no police official is prepared? Because all the police officials will be junior, so it means that you will say, no, another department must come and investigate, whereas as a police official, you are given statutory powers to investigate. So I wouldn't say that it is necessarily because they couldn't investigate their former colleagues. You can investigate your colleagues. I have indicated here that when I was working in the commercial branch, one stole my docket, we investigated. One forged my signature, we investigate. You can still investigate because you have got the power to do so. So it was more to maintain a cordial relationship because when the family is feeling uncomfortable, you can't work with witnesses that don't trust, because then they will not divulge some of the information that you need.
Thank you, Doctor. So turning to paragraph 18, you set out that the serious organized crime investigation component had prepared a report on 34 cases. Do you recall the general status of those 34 cases? For example, did they need further investigation? Were any ready to proceed?
I would not recall the exact content of what was the status of each case, but my practice is that I developed a pro forma that whenever I need progress to be reported to me, it must contain the following. So I needed to be knowing how many statements have been obtained, who are the victims, who are the suspects, who are the investigators. So there is a particular format that I designed, say that I need information to be reported in this fashion so that I can see development. When you report progress, I'll be able to see from the last report to the current report, are there changes? So it's only when I've got that report that I can be able to say these were the changes that have come in. But every time a progress report comes, I check from where I have checked previously, is there any movement? Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. And you were asked previously about the 12 members from Crimes Against the State, CATS at least. Would I be right in saying that the situation was even more dire for you, because presumably not long after the attorneys had written to you, then Captain Simpson, who's on that list, would have been removed, and probably also Colonel Frechtenberg, bringing the number from 12 down to 10.
Yeah, so obviously that is the challenge of manpower that I have indicated, that the DPCI was seriously incapacitated to deal with the challenge of work. So obviously I have hinted various matters that require attention. So the number was even fewer than where we started.
Yes. And of course, as you've pointed out, they weren't full-time on the TRC cases. They also had other responsibilities. Who was in charge of that component at the time?
I think that the component head for serious organized crime when I came in was Major General
If you can't remember, it's not essential. We can find out.
Yeah, I think she retired immediately, some few months.
But
later. There was somebody else who was the
yes, it's not essential.
head.
Don't worry about that. But did the members working on the TRC cases, did they have a component head or a commanding officer?
Yeah, the name if just come back is Major General Sylvia Ledwaba. So Major General Sylvia Ledwaba was the component head of serious organized crime. Below her, the one for crimes against the state was Brigadier Kaba. So below Brigadier Kaba will be some colonels that are responsible for some activities.
Thank you. So then let's jump to the steps that you took, and these are set out in paragraphs 19 and particularly 20, where you mentioned you advertised 200 posts, and then you had 40 contract members assigned to deal with the TRC cases exclusively, and they were then appointed in April of 2021. And I see that, I suppose it's no coincidence, Dr. Lebeya, that in 2021 there was almost an explosion of cases registered with the DPCI. According to our calculations, just in that year alone, 56 cases were opened by the DPCI. Is that attributable to the fact that you had 40 dedicated investigators?
Yes, that indeed, Commissioners, that we have increased the capacity. Obviously, they are looking deeper and they are able to receive new matters. And when the complainants in other matters see that there is development, they also come forward. So you'll see that some of the matters have got new cases. You don't have the old linking case. So it might start as a missing person during that period. So that is why they will be increasing.
Yes, and then in the following year there was even a bigger number, 2022, where 84 cases were opened by the DPCI, a very impressive number, presumably also because you now had capacity.
Yes, indeed, and we needed to deal with every matter relating to the TRC that has not been finalized.
Because if you compare those numbers to the cases between 2011 and 2020, from what we can see, only 8 cases were opened in those years. Would you also account that to the lack of capacity or lack of dedicated investigators prior to 2021?
I believe that it could be the issue of capacity. Because as I have said, I don't believe that from 2009 there was anybody who was stopping anyone from investigating this matter. So I'll believe that it was an issue of capacity, limited capacity.
And then if we turn to your paragraph 25, the number that you give in cases handled by the DPCR have now jumped to 140 in April of 2023. Am I correct in saying that by May of 2025 that number had increased to 176 just before you retired?
Just remind me of the paragraph.
It's paragraph 25, last line.
Okay. Yeah, the commissioners, the number obviously in paragraph 25 speaks to 2023 is before I was still in service, and the number has indeed increased to 140. So they were increasing. I just recalled something that when the question was asked about Friechtenberg, I need to be mentioning that part of the investigation that Friechtenberg has dealt with was the Buremach case. If he has been able to deal with the Buremach case, I think that he could have dealt with any other case. So the cases of the Buremach were dealt with by Friechtenberg. So I had the confidence that he can deal with the investigation impartially, but obviously the relationship need to be maintained so that people do not doubt that we can't trust this one. But the officer himself, I think that if you look at that case, we can safely say that he could deal with any other case. So I just thought that maybe I need to hint that, commissioners. Thank you.
And if we can turn to the extract that you have put into your statement at paragraph, or from several extracts from paragraph 26 onwards, you refer to the Rule 3.3 notice. And in the extract you include in 26, that's from paragraph 313 in the Kalata founding affidavit, which in turn refers to the letter that McAdam wrote to you on 18 January 2010. And then you make reference to the fact that in the Kalata affidavit, only the letter was reproduced, but not paragraphs 35 to 36, where Advocate McAdam had used the word positively, which he did so at paragraph 35 of his statement, which you have reproduced. I just want to put it to you that was not done intentionally, and do you accept that Mr. Kalata only reproduced the letter but not the paragraphs? If he had reproduced the paragraphs, then that word would have been included. But for purposes of that affidavit, it was only the letter that was included.
Commissioners, I accept that. It is just that I felt that this kind of word need not to be omitted. So if it is unconsciously omitted, I accept that. So there was no deliberate to cast any negative aspersions. I accept that. So I just feel that the relationship between Macadam and what he said and how we were engaging him was in positive spirit. And when this message is conveyed to the third party, this kind of words need not be left out. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. And of course, the families have no reason to dispute McAdam using a word like positively, because in his meeting with you, steps were being taken to assign investigators to the cases, which at that point in time, in 2009, would have been a positive development. If we can just return to that extract, and this is on page 8 of your affidavit, in paragraph 26. You'll see that Advocate Ackerman in the second paragraph on that page refers to Senior Superintendent Bester. And he makes reference to the fact that Bester had several dockets against the liberation movements, and that McAdam had explained to him that in those matters amnesty had been granted. And he then advises Bester that there was no basis on which these cases could be reopened. And if I can then just refer, no, you probably don't have it, but to the next paragraph in the Kalata affidavit at 314, where the following is stated. Senior Superintendent Louis Bester was appointed to oversee the investigations of the 10 remaining TRC cases. It appeared that Bester was particularly interested in pursuing cases against members of the former liberation movements. As it transpired, he made no progress in the cases against former apartheid security officers and operatives. Do you have a recollection whether Senior Superintendent Bester made any progress in the TRC cases? Because it's certainly the view of the families that he was very keen to move against the liberation movements, but not against the former security officials of the apartheid regime.
As I've indicated, I did not have any indication that he had the intention of not investigating against anyone. And once a case is there, I would have insisted that any case be investigated. As the police, we don't make decisions. Decisions must be made by the National Prosecuting Authority. You collect evidence and table before the authority that has been given. I would not have allowed that. So it was not brought to my attention that he does not want to investigate cases against members of the security setting.
So Advocate McAdam, in his statement, mentioned that in 2010, after the arrangement had been agreed with you, you mentioned that the investigations would commence, but only after the conclusion of the 2010 World Cup. Do you have a recollection of that?
I do not have a recollection of the nitty-gritties of the status of progress, how they have been progressing. And I think that in 2010, during the World Cup, again, there was special focus on the World Cup, and I was given the responsibility of dealing with all the cases of the World Cup. I was monitoring that on a constant basis, daily basis, dealing with all the World Cup cases nationally. So that would have been my responsibility, among others, in 2010 during the World Cup. You know that those cases had to be submitted at court immediately. They didn't have to go through the normal court roles where you have to postpone for a month and the like, because some of the people were visitors. They were to leave and those matters had to be finalized. So I do not know about the nitty-gritties of the progress of the cases. The component head may have been aware of how the cases were developing.
Thank you. No, we understand from your earlier evidence that your involvement with the TRC cases came to an end, I believe, in February of 2011. So quite shortly after you had arranged investigators for those cases. And the Commission is aware that between 2009, and in fact going back further, between 2007 and 2016, no cases were enrolled for prosecution and no inquests were held. And I know this is, you can only speak up until February of 2011, but what might explain the lack of activity in those years?
Between 2007 and 2016?
Yes.
TRC cases.
TRC cases.
Yeah, as I have indicated, I only came to know about these cases in 2009. 2007, I wouldn't be knowing because I believe by that time, the CATS, Crimes Against the State, was resorting under the serious and violent crime, which was a component of its own, not the organized crime component within the detective service. So I was not responsible for that. It's only in 2009 when the Hawks had to take the responsibility of serious and violent crime into the organized crime. I was out of the DPCI, as I've indicated, and by 2016 I was out of the organization. I wouldn't know how they have been coordinating and directing the investigation. It's only when I came back that I can account. This is what I have done after my return.
Thank you. No further questions, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Vani. Mr. Siminya.
Chair, thank you. Mr. Nalani will put such questions.
Yes, Mr. Nalane.
Thank you, Commissioner. Dr. Lebeya, this afternoon, I almost said good morning.
Well, good afternoon, Commissioners.
Yes. Dr. Lebeya, we have listened to evidence from various witnesses, and you are aware about the duties that this commission must do, and thank you for having enlightened us about some of the events. It seems to us that there are various time periods which the TRC matters can be divided into. Some, as you say, you'd have been involved in the processes, some you would not have been. But of course, you are here to help us with your vast knowledge of policing from when you literally grew in the police, as it looks like it. You joined at an early age and you moved on the ranks. So your experience will, of course, help in elucidating some of the events and issues that the Commission has to deal with. As we understand it, there are at least maybe 2 time periods which would be from 2003, when the TRC concluded its work, and the recommendation was those who do not apply for amnesty must be pursued. I'm sure you are aware of that. And one of the major events was the statement made by former President Mbeki when he received the final report.
You nodded your head, Dr. Lebeya. The question was, you are aware of that, and then you nodded. Your answer is?
I agree, Commissioners.
Okay.
Thank you. And one of the events that we know as a matter of history is that the president then, President Mbeki, received the final report of the TRC and made a major announcement in Parliament. You are aware of that?
I'm not aware of those nitty-gritties.
But I think what the president would have said is, we have now received the TRC report. We have gone through a process as a nation to try and heal the past, and we must not look forward. But what he said is, now that an opportunity has been given to people to come forward and they didn't, those who didn't come forward must be prosecuted. Are you aware of that?
I generally know that people who did not apply were to be prosecuted, but I don't know the nitty-gritties of the announcement per se.
And what we would know as well is that when the National Prosecutions Authority was started, 1998 thereabouts, the first national director was Advocate Bulelani Ncuka. That's a matter of fact. We know that.
Just repeat that.
Bulelani Ncuka was the first national director of public prosecutions.
I agree.
Yes. And as we have learned from some of the evidence is that the president then decided that TRC cases must be classified as priority crimes.
I'm not aware of those arrangements. I was not operating at that level, at that stage.
But you came in later in about 2008, 2009, or 2018 thereabouts, back into the DPCI.
When it was established in 2009, yes.
And one of the functions the DPCI then had to do was to investigate this case, the TRC cases.
That's correct.
And then there would have been a handover of sorts, because as we understand from 2003 until the DPCI was responsible, the DSO would have been responsible.
Yeah, there were cases that were handled by the DSO, which were handed over, were incorporated into the DPCI matters.
And what we've learned is that Advocate Makadam, with whom you met, was also involved in a unit called PCLU, which had its function to investigate TRC cases, amongst others.
I know about the PCLU in the NPA.
And we would know that PCLU, but you can tell us if you know, was it ever done away with, or is it still there as we speak now?
At the time when I left the organization, it still existed.
And when you were involved with the DPCI, are you aware what the function of the NPA in the investigation of TRC cases was?
The function of my understanding of the National Prosecuting Authority was to make a decision on prosecution or otherwise. And because they are working closely with the investigators, guiding them, they will indicate as to whether this matter need to go to criminal court or inquest court, or they decline to prosecute, and that the matter might be closed. So it is the generic mandate of the NPA and the mandate of the SAPS.
And we have known, I think Mr. Savandri have told you so as well, the statistics from the time 2003 until at least when the DPCI started investigating the matters, the record of successful prosecutions is very low. Are you aware of that?
I am aware that the prosecution were very low if they existed, but obviously I can account from the time that I had the information on hand, starting from 10. Before this, the 10 cases, I don't know what has been the development before, which stopped to 2003 to 2009. So I can only speak really from 2009. Before 2009, they were not sharing with me on that information.
And you say that during your time at least, the number of TRC cases under investigation increased.
Correct.
You had 10 initially, and then they all spiked to at least 104 or thereabouts.
Yeah, so it's 34, and then thereafter we speak of 140. I think that you can see in other areas 150 and the like. So they keep on increasing.
And this is from at least when you're involved in the DPCI, 2019, 2020, thereabouts.
Yeah, from 2018, that is where I can say that the number really started to increase.
But from 2003 to 2018, the numbers were low.
As I have indicated, from 2003 to portion of 2009, I don't know anything about the TRC cases.
No, I know you don't. All I'm saying is from the stats that we have, and I'm sure you'd have had access to this as well, the numbers.
Is this answer going to help us?
Okay, I said the point, yes, thank you. But the point is there was an increase in, as you said, there was an increase in numbers from when the DPCI started investigating.
Yeah, my short answer is that from the 10 that I know of, there is time when we had 150, so there is an increase.
And one of the issue, I won't call it complaint, but the explanations that we have had, at least, is that there were no investigators that were responsible for investigating the cases, at least from 2003 until at least the DPCI, as you would have known, stepped in.
Yeah, as I've indicated, when I became aware, with the 12 investigators that were there and the need to increase, the capacity of the DPCI was limited. And I've indicated now and then that the DPCI need to be capacitated. And I think that it affects all the environment within the DPCI. It was not only in the serious organized crime. Other environments too had the same challenge of capacity. So operating with half of what you are supposed to be having will affect productivity across the DPCI. So the personnel capacity has been a challenge.
And I'm not sure if you can be able to help, because you now are head DPCI, you are able to increase or ask for a budget, you are able to hire more people, and you all work in government in the same way as the period when the DSO was there investigating the cases. I'm not sure if you can able to assist. What would explain you are able to increase the budgets, hire more people, but in other era, that was not possible, or it didn't happen?
I do not know what are the activities that those who were managing were doing. As the national head of the DPCI, you are not on your own able to increase the budget and increase the capacity. What you are doing is you ask, you indicate, we conducted a work study and say that this is the capacity that is needed to be able to cope with the work. Can decision makers increase the budget so that we can get the necessary resources? That is where what you can do. So yes, I can say that it is fortunate that during my period, to a certain extent, the necessary budget was given, but not really to be able to deal with the challenges as a whole in the DPCI, because then the capacity increases to 51%, it goes to 52%, and then it goes down again. So the capacity is a challenge that there is a need for constant people who are having powers to decide to constantly ensure that the capacity is enhanced. And if that is done, I think that the DPCI can be elevated to similar structures in other countries.
But you had to motivate.
You have to motivate, and then they must go and debate in Parliament where budget is decided upon.
Of the numbers of people and cases that increased when the DPCI stepped in, were you able to tell, let me paraphrase this question the following. Part of the mandate, the TRC said those who did not apply for amnesty should be, or fail to obtain, must be prosecuted. Are you able, if you can't, it's fine, but just your comments, are we able to tell of the...
Not only must be prosecuted, must be investigated, which is more in line with what his mandate was.
Yes.
Investigated and prosecuted. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are we able somehow to tell that the numbers in increments, do they come from those who did not apply or failed to obtain amnesty?
I think that the operators will be in a better position, because as I indicated, some of the cases you'll see that it comes as an inquiry when the members of the family feel that, but even our relative so-and-so disappeared during that period, so they can't say, no, you can't come and report because he doesn't appear in the list. So the investigators who compile those will be able to say, what was the origin of this specific case? Did it emanate from the list of TRC, or the members of the family have raised this concern? Thank you, Commissioners.
We know that the PCLU had some persons who were working there, especially Advocate Ackerman, SC, and Advocate McAdam. The last person that you'd know from the PCLU would have been Advocate McAdam.
I think so, but I wouldn't say that I do not know Advocate Ackerman. It's just that I do not have a recollection. And then obviously the engagement will not be that constant because of the hierarchy in the NPA. The position that I was holding, I was to engage the National Director of Public Prosecution, and he have got she have got layers below, and then I have got layers below. You'll find that the person in charge of PCLU will be engaging more often with the brigadier in the crimes against the state. So yes, Ackerman Macadam is the one that I have met. I'm not recollecting Ackerman.
But are you able to explain why there seems to have been an increase in the number of cases investigated and reported after the PCLU had, after the change of investigative capacity from PCLU?
I'm not getting the question correctly,
Yes,
Commissioner.
the PCLU at some point did not continue with the investigation of the cases. The DPCI did that. And there seemed to have been an increase in the number of cases. Are you able to give an explanation why that would have been so?
It is not clear, Commissioner, because my understanding is that the PCLU never investigated. They are directing the DPCI to investigate, so they have to be working together. The NPA does not do the investigation, but they have got to work closely with the DPCI. So if there is anything that they want being done, they will direct the members of the DPCI to do that. So I wouldn't know the nitty-gritties of the activities in the PCLU. I will get my report, progress report, from the component head of serious organized crime. So that is what I can say. But the issues, the activities in the PCLU, I think the NPA can be in a better position to respond.
But did they continue working with the DPCI for the DPCI to do the investigations?
I get the reports from the serious organized crime, so I'm not asking them, are you still working with the PCLU? Because I know they must work together, so they haven't raised a concern that the PCLU has closed down or they are no longer doing what they are supposed to be doing. Because I even see that even at the time when we had the July unrest, they still work closely with them and the organized crime. So I can't say that there are issues with from the NPA side. So they did not raise it with me that there is a challenge from the PCLU.
But the structure remained in place in the sense that the PCLU, if they required investigators, they would go to the DPCI.
Yeah, if they require investigation to be done, they will go to the DPCI and the DPCI will investigate. The DPCI members will not be seconded to the office of PCLU. They will do the work in the DPCI and provide feedback to the prosecutors in the PCLU.
And so that the investigative capacity in the DPCI was increased, and that led to increase in the cases and investigations.
I believe that is the case.
Commissioner, those are the questions.
Thank you. Ms. Ranto?
Thank you, Commissioners. General Lebeya, you testified that you commenced your services with the DPCI in August 2009, is that correct?
is correct, Commissioners.
And you also mentioned that that was until the 31st of January 2010, before you took up your position on the 1st of February 2010 as the Divisional Commissioner for Crime Detection.
That is correct, Commissioners.
So I would be correct to say that with the re-establishment of the DPCI, you spent approximately 5 months in that environment before your appointment as the Divisional Commissioner for Crime Detection and Forensic Services and Crime Intelligence. Is that not so?
Just repeat the question. You say re-establishment or the...
You remember you explained with the re-establishment, with the establishment, not re-establishment, sorry for that.
Okay.
That's why you said the newly established DPCI. So you spent 5 months approximately with the newly established DPCI before you were appointed to take charge of detective service, crime intelligence, and forensic services. Is that not so?
Let me clear it in this way. From 2009, I was with the DPCI, and then I was appointed Divisional Commissioner within the DPCI in 2010, and then until the 31st of January 2011. It's only the 1st of February 2011 that I went to the back to the greater service to be the Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection.
Thank you. Yes, that means you would have spent just over a year.
That's
with the
correct,
DPCI.
Commissioner.
Thank you for that, General. And you also informed the Commission that during the set process there were also reconfiguration of responsibilities within DPCI and also priority crime investigation, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct, Commissioner, that at the time, which I think General Dramat will also indicate, that at the time when he was appointed as the Deputy National Commissioner for DPCI, he was also given the responsibility of Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, which at some stage there was Commissioner Williams, I think that with the retirement and the like, they did not appoint anyone, so the two were sort of resorting under General Dramat. So until they decided to separate so that he is solely responsible for the DPCI, then that other directorate, crime detection, is the one that I was appointed in. So that is the separation that have happened during that period.
And you also spoke of the increment during your appointment of more cases being investigated related to the TRC cases. Remember that?
Your voice drops.
Sorry, Commissioners. General Lebeya, you also spoke to the increase in the investigations related to the TRC since you took over the DPCI, isn't it?
Correct, Commissioners.
Was that in relation to, or the assessment based on your initial interaction with Advocate McAdam, talking about the 10 cases? When you spoke of increase, meaning your baseline, you operated from the 10 cases that were referred to initially during your interaction, and then you continued when you took over.
Indeed, Commissioner, from 10 and then to 34, and thereafter going to more than 150. So there has been constant increase from the initial 10 that was brought to the attention of the DPCI.
Thank you. One last question, General. You were asked about accessing more funds or applying and getting the budget. You were able, in fact, Advocate Nalani Esi said you were able to increase the budget. You remember that question that was posed to you that you were able to increase the budget. I'll make
Ye-
a follow-up, yeah. I just want to remind you what you were asked. You remember that?
Yes, yes. I wanted it to become clear that it is not the national head who increases the budget, because if it was the national head, I should have sorted this out, that the DPCI should operate at 100% from the time that I identified the weaknesses. But you request that this is the position that we are having. We would like to operate at 100%. You draw the plans that if I have these funds, by this time, I shall have filled the capacity to operate at 100%. Then there will be debates and the like. They agree or we cut here and there, and then you can get this. So there was that increase of budget, but not by me, but by the decision makers into the DPCI. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you, General. In fact, in paragraph 19, perhaps, if I may take you to the second portion of it on page 1701 of your affidavit. That is where you speak of your request that was subsequently approved, subject to the need to cater for other environments over and above the TRC cases. You remember that?
That's correct. Was I requested, and the authority approves. So indeed I requested, and it was approved.
Would I be correct that the intention was to cater for resources for the TRC, but it was not within your powers to decide as to whether all those posts could be allocated to the TRC cases?
So because we needed the DPCI as a whole operated, they needed more than 200 posts, because they were operating at something like 50%. But depending on the available money, we could only fill 200. And then out of the 200, we had to decide how do we distribute to all of these environments that is in need of resources.
Okay. So would I be correct that as much as the TRC needed to be prioritized, there were other areas of that were identified as needing resources, as you indicated that you had to apportion the posts that were allocated so that you cater for other environments?
Indeed, commissioners, there has always been dire need for personnel in the DPCI. If one was to look at matters like the Free State asbestos, the VBS, the Durban solid waste, the COVID-19 matters, the July unrest, all of these things needed more capacity. You can't put 3 investigators and think that they will complete the matter. You need to put 20, a team of 20. And that capacity you needed. And the other cases, the complainants can't listen when you want to say, no, we are going to park your cases. I heard when I arrived that some of the cases they were parking elsewhere because they don't have capacity. They will deal with them at a later stage. But the complainant won't accept that. So the capacity has been a serious challenge. We had to do with what we had. We also had to ask for secondment from other environments.
Thank you. And when you spoke of the need to apply for a budget or funds allocation, would I be correct to say that that is also within a specific legal framework that is related to the management of finances within state organs or by the state organs?
That is correct, commissioners. The national head of the DPCI is not an accounting officer. So you have got this long process that you apply, and then it goes through different channels. And you rest assured that you are not going to be getting what you requested. If you go and look at the request that we have been making, and publicly so debating that there is a need for this, it has not been sufficient to cater for the needs. It's not only personnel capacity. It also goes to issues like accommodation. If you were to go and look at the accommodation, you will see that there is a need to capacitate this entity. You can even look at the headquarters for the entity and say, is this the headquarters of the Hawks? Haven't we requested that please come and look at this? We requested the DPW to come and look at the accommodation. It's only when something wrong happens that people point fingers and say that, but how can it be this kind of accommodation? So resources has been a challenge. If there were sufficient resources, most of these matters shall have been finalized speedily.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Lebeya, I just want to focus for a bit on McAdam from the PCLU. He had a meeting with you around about 26 November 2009, and you've pointed out in your affidavit, paragraph 27, that the word positively was left out. But am I correct in understanding that you had a positive engagement with Advocate McAdam and agreed to assist where you could based on the resources you had at the time?
I agree, Commissioners.
Okay. Now, subsequently in 2018, when you applied for further capacity and you were able to get 40 dedicated appointed investigators, I'm interested in how did you come to realize that more investigators were needed for these TRC cases?
Commissioners, we have got different management styles. We have got different management styles.
Right.
I have always relied on what I call AIM. Whenever I move into a new environment, I conduct assessment. When I pick up the issues that need to be corrected, I implement. And thereafter, I monitor. So I call it an AIM, the abbreviation for this assessment, implementation, and monitoring. So I have monitored this and assessed and realized that there is a need for capacity because the number of investigators that we are having, they are not coping with the workload that is on hand. And the nature of the cases that are handled by the DPCI are serious in nature. You may find that
if you can just focus on the TRC cases, what assessment did you do to realize that you were just scratching, 10 investigators was simply not enough, that more had to be done on the TRC cases?
When the initial 10 cases were brought, from that original moment I said to myself, is this the only cases that will emanate from the TRC? And I think it triggered an inquisitive mind from that time. When I came back in 2018, asking now to be provided with a report, I get 34. I still ask more questions. Is this all? And I think that inclusive of the inquiries that I will engage, those who are presenting, I realize that possibilities that there are more cases that still need attention. And it's only when you have got the resources that you can dig deeper.
Did you engage with the PCLU at all when you conducted this assessment?
As I've indicated,